The Secret of Europa, Part 3. Donaldson Starport, orbiting body 5B, system Alioth. Alliance Interpol detective Hal Selvin stood patiently outside the glass office doors of his superior. His dark khaki trousers and green puffer jacket, combined with his shiny black boots and perfectly worn cap, looked immaculate. A man dedicated to his job, dedicated to the hunt for that one target that continued to elude him, along with the many other low-down, dirty black market traders, commonly referred to in the industry as trade rats, that crossed his path. But such dedication comes at a cost, and is the sole reason why his beloved daughter lives with his divorced wife. He was stern, strict, loved by most, but unbearable to others. Strangely, the relationship he had with Apollo and his crew was one of the longest he had held. It was a cat-and-mouse chase that had spread across the majority of the bubble and sometimes beyond. And it had come so tantalizingly close to ending on so many occasions, the latest being the daring temple raid on the Terracotta Plateau, where once again he had found out too late and could only watch as Apollo's ship lifted into the black and escaped once more. "Come in," said a voice from behind the glass. Hal entered the room and stood to attention in front of the desk. "Still chasing those trade rats, Hal?" "Yes, sir." "You know, your recent and highly unpopular public takedown has put our Ratcatchers unit into the public eye again, as an archaic and vigilante unit." "I assume that's why I'm here, sir." Strangely, no. I need to talk to you about Apollo. Unless by some miracle you've caught him already." Hal's eyes widened. "Not yet, sir, but I will get him." "Indeed. Listen, it seems the Alliance, in all their wisdom, have decided to work with him." "What, sir?" "Yes, they've gone above us to the powers that be, and have tasked him with retrieving an item of considerable interest, it appears." "That's... I can't believe that, sir." "Yes, you and me both, son. So that's where you come in. We need to keep an eye on that crew, and that means we need to know their location and where they're going to be before they do." "I'll get him, sir. Just tell me where." "We don't know where he is. They found him, God knows how, but let's not forget their numbers and their ways are far greater than ours. Either way, they're not going to hand us any freebies." "Maybe I can reach out. I know a few—" "Slow down, son. Now, don't get me wrong. That is what I'm asking. But I'm also telling you we need patience. I want you to track him down, follow him, and capture him once and for all. But only after he has the item. Understood?" "Understood, sir." "I don't care if he hands it back to the Alliance agents. We can do that ourselves. As long as we have Apollo and the item, we can finish this and look good at the same time." "Understood, sir," Hal repeated, saluting his superior and leaving the office. And as he walked away, a smile stretched across his face. This was it. This was his moment. But he wasn't sure just yet whether he would follow the instructions in the given order. Planet: Mars. Location: Siona Ridge Mountain Range. System: Sol. Tin slowly rose from his alcohol-induced slumber, his head groggy, his mouth dry. The air in his cabin smelt rusty and stale. In the background, a screen that had apparently been left on all night was currently displaying the local system sports news, highlights of a recent SRV race. He pushed his blanket away and stretched. And as he did so, the coverage suddenly switched to a breaking story. Another message from the disturbed terrorist cell, calling themselves the Sublime Order.
"That is what this is about. Cleansing. We will rid humanity of the red tape. The social and political protocols that keep us locked up in this archaic system. We will break down the walls our governments have erected. We will break through the closed mentality of the powers that be, and we will succeed in our mission."
Tin switched the madman off, left his quarters and made his way through to the cockpit.
Good morning, Emo.
Apollo turned to acknowledge his friend's presence and gestured.
Ah, finally, he hath awoken.
Tin let out a half smile as he looked past Apollo to the red ball that was rapidly growing in size.
Nearly there, then?
Yeah, we'll be touching down in a few minutes. You best get comfy.
The crew members strapped themselves in and awaited the pleasing boom and subsequent feel of the ship's glide. Another loud bang echoed through the ship as the glide completed, and Tin rose once more to see the northern mountains of Mars before them.
You still know where you're going, then?
Yeah, somehow I still had his coordinates stored in the nav system. Go figure.
So, what is your history with this guy, then?
Not much, really. Like I said, he wasn't so much a friend, but someone I got involved with on a few treasure hunts. It's exciting times, though.
So what happened?
Well, his daughter happened. That's when things went a bit sour after that.
Say no more, my friend.
Yeah. Last I heard, he's a bit of a recluse now. Lives on the outskirts of town.
Well, hopefully he's ready to talk.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'll have to make him talk, right?
Apollo didn't answer. He hoped for the best, but as always, expected the worst. Outside the remote and rather shabby-looking construction that apparently served as the acquaintance's abode, the trio stood. The building, comprising mostly of brick but then patched with woodwork and other sources of material, appeared to have seen better days.
Nice place,
said Tin, as they approached the door and gently knocked. Emo grunted. A cold wind howled over the nearby mountain range and buffeted the building as it made its way down to the nearby town. The sheets of tarpaulin that were adorned to the house in various places were in a constant state of motion. And after a short while, the door opened, and the face of a pale yet beautiful woman appeared before them. Helen immediately threw the door closed, but Tin had reacted first, thrusting his foot between the door and preventing it from closing.
Sorry, love. This ain't a social visit.
Helen backed away, a grimace of fear now covering her brow.
It's okay. I won't bother you. I just need to talk to him.
He's not well. He's sick. Dying.
Apollo lowered his head, genuinely saddened by the news.
I need to see him, Helen.
And with a sigh, she led them through to a makeshift bed toward the rear of the kitchen. A fire roared close by, and Helen turned to gather some glasses.
I suppose you'll be wanting drinks then.
Oh, that'll be a lovely idea,
said Tin. Helen frowned at the man and his disgusting accent. Upon noticing the men enter the room, Killian lifted his head, and a long-lost smile appeared. Apollo knelt down by the bedside.
Oh, Apollo. I deemed I would never have the pleasure again.
Neither did I, old friend,
said Apollo, feeling the need to change his title back from acquaintance to friend once more.
How the devil are you?
I'm fine. Plodding along as usual. I wish I could say the same for you.
Yes. I appear to have been struck down in my prime,
said Killian with a chuckle. Apollo joined in the laughter.
Well, if you can call being in your 70s prime, then we're all doomed.
Oh, nevertheless, it is good to see you, Apollo. Tell me, what brings you here? Another adventure, I presume.
Apollo shifted. He was so used to talking discreetly in private areas that he carried a sense of paranoia with him wherever he went, even in a secluded shack on the mountains of Mars.
I'm looking for the trident.
Killian's eyes widened.
I remember you saying about it once. You had a map. Obviously, I thought it was nonsense at the time, but it seems you're a right, old friend.
The trident.
The very one. The Alliance are after it. Achilles Corp are after it. It seems everyone's after it, come to think of it.
To be young again.
I wish I could join you, but I stopped looking for that thing a long time ago.
Apollo nodded.
Let me carry on your quest, old friend.
Yes.
I will gladly pay for it.
Killian chuckled to himself between coughs.
I have no use for money now, Apollo. This is something I never had the chance to search for.
The dying man motioned for his daughter to retrieve an old box, and she reluctantly obeyed, placing the object on the bed. Killian opened it.
I want you to have this,
he said, passing Apollo a very old-looking chain pendant.
I bought this one day, long ago, from an off-world collector. Some crazy-looking man who reckoned he was immortal. Anyway, you will do well to hold on to this dearly, for if I am right about this, you may need it. And you will know when to use it.
Apollo examined the pendant. Engraved on the back, it had strange numbers, or maybe it was scripture. Apollo couldn't tell. He placed it around his neck regardless.
Thank you.
Killian nodded as he unraveled an ancient map that contained a reference of stars, moons, and a more precise drawing of an unknown location, surrounded by droplets of water.
Looks like Titan to me, but then that always confused me. The map being on Titan and all. But you're a clever man. You can figure it out. I wish you the best of luck, Apollo.
Killian laid his head down, tiring from the conversation.
Thank you, old friend. I really wish you well,
said Apollo, rising to leave. And as he did so, the daughter pulled him to one side by the door.
If you're gonna do this, you should know that this is only half of the map. He's old and forgetful. I was meant to take all his stuff to storage, but luckily this was in another box. You will need the other half of the map, which is...
Suddenly, the door burst open with a clatter of broken wood and a mist of disturbed dust from outside. And a gruff voice filled the room.
Looks like we're both working the same case, kid.
Apollo spun round to face the all-too-familiar voice.
Oh, don't call me Kid, Quaid.
Quaid laughed. As he examined the room, his three henchmen spread out behind him.
You thought the agency would limit their chances with just one traitor, huh?
Seemed unlikely, but I imagined I had the best chance.
Of course you did, kid. That's why I followed you.
Tin and Emo shed a look of disgust, annoyed that they had not heard the men approaching, infuriated that they were in this position, helpless to act, staring down the barrel of a manticore intimidator, and it was certainly living up to its name.
Give me the map, kid.
Apollo hesitated a moment, but any actions would be futile, and with a sigh, he handed it over. Quaid snatched the map and pocketed the fragile document.
Cheers, kiddo. It's been a pleasure crossing paths with you again. We'll be off for now. And don't bother doing anything stupid. You know me better than that, don't you now?
And as quickly as they had arrived, Quaid and his men disappeared from sight. Tin smacked his fists together.
Ah, for fuck's sake. Isn't that lovely? Now he's got the bloody map.
Apollo nodded.
Only half of it, and I got a pretty good look at it.
He turned to face Killian's daughter.
Anyway, you were saying?
Helen sighed. It was one of relief, for this entire encounter had come and passed without any danger or harm. But it need never have happened at all if Apollo had simply not shown up.
The storage facility, near town. It's next to the church. Locker 8B. Code is 1887. Can you just go now, please?
Apollo hung his head low. A genuine look of sorrow gripped his features.
I'm sorry, Helen.
Just go, please.
Apollo turned and headed for the door. tin, saluted Helen for some reason. Before leaving, an emo did what emo always does, and released a nondescript grunt. TANI Mines Outpost. Orbiting body, Nakoma 3. System, Nakoma. Detective Hal Salvin made his way through the grimy and cold levels of the TANI Mines Outpost. He was following a tip from a well-known and respected informant. Apollo and his crew of trade rats had been seen at this location. It wasn't much to go on, and he had followed so many of these leads that he couldn't quite remember the exact number, but still, he had to see them all through. Surely the laws of probability meant that one day he would be there, and they would finally meet. "Can I help, sir?" said the barkeeper. Hal held up a photo of his target. "I'm looking for Apollo Sky." The barkeep smiled. "Never heard of him." But Hal was well versed in the ways of the trade rats, and he also knew that things could be said without actually being said. "Give me a shot of Lavian brandy." The barkeep followed the orders and was generously paid for his efforts. Hal continued, "I'm not asking if you've seen him, but maybe someone around here could have overheard where he was headed." "Afraid not, sir. People don't talk much around here, but the fans do hear whispers, and maybe an old acquaintance would be the best person to talk to." Hal nodded. He didn't quite know what that meant, but he guessed that was all he would be getting. "Thanks for the drink," he said, pushing the still full glass to one side and walking away. And as he made his way back to his Alliance Challenger, his mind raced over the many documents and bios he had read on Apollo. An old acquaintance. Maybe there was someone that did spring to mind after all.